Every day, India tosses out enough plastic to fill 65 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Around 60% of this waste is from the packaging industry. The government hopes to control this massive problem with the new amendment to the Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016. The amendment pushes for extended producer responsibility or EPR, that is, making brands, packaging producers, and importers collect and recycle the plastic that they produce. In this video, we break down the amendments, their targets, and most importantly, whether they can truly make a difference. First, let me explain what Extended Producer Responsibility EPR is. EPR is a regulatory framework that ensures manufacturers, producers, importers, and brand owners take accountability for managing the waste generated by their products. In India, EPR is a legal obligation under various environmental regulations, particularly for industries dealing with plastic packaging waste, electronic waste, battery waste, and waste tires. Companies that fall under these categories must establish systems for waste collection, recycling, and responsible disposal. According to the new rules, companies must gradually increase the use of recycled plastic in packaging. Rigid plastics like water bottles must include 30% recycled plastic this year and reach up to 60% by 2028-29. Flexible plastics like polythene covers must include 20% recycled plastics by 2028-29. Now, mixed or multi-layered packs like Tetra packs and chips packets, which are very hard to recycle, must begin with 5% and use up to 10% recycled plastic in their production. And these targets apply to plastic manufacturers, importers, and brand owners that use these plastic packages.
Why do you think it is important to ensure that plastic is being reused instead of just cutting out plastic usage and production?
The usage is there in all the applications, correct? So we can't immediately say that this needs to be controlled or cut the production with immediate effect. That would affect everybody. So while that is the ultimate goal, that we want to reduce the production of the plastics, but this is more like a stopgap arrangements in which we want that more of recycling economy is encouraged. We get more economic viability for plastic recycling, not just one or two categories, but multiple categories of plastic recycling should be economically viable. And therefore, we want to encourage the recycling bit.
Brand owners must also ensure reuse of rigid plastic packaging. For packs of 1 to 5 liters or kilos, 10 to 25% should be reused. For drinking water packs over 5 liters or kilos, reuse must be 70 to 85%. For other packages, 10 to 15% reuse is mandated. This amendment aims to create a circular economy and sustainable plastic use. But does India have the infrastructure to support these actions?
Here, what we see in India is that the municipalities, whether it is urban or rural, they are the ones who are bearing the cost of waste collection as well as processing as well as disposal, right? And hence, and the producers are not directly supporting this kind of collection, even though EPR as a policy, if you look at it, it should facilitate the collection of that particular product on which it is imposed. Right now, there are so many different combinations of plastic that are being used in the industry that it's very difficult to identify the right category and then dispose it well. So the recycling infrastructure right now is not ready for such a varied mix of materials. The final point that I have is that in the current format, EPR is limited to it's like a central body. It's a portal based system. So if I'm a producer and I'm selling my waste, say in Himalayas, We don't have recycling facilities there. I can just quickly purchase my certificate, say from Gujarat, where there is a recycling industry already established, and my responsibility is over. So it's easier for the producers to fulfill their responsibility in the current format. What is required is that where you are actually generating that waste, you need to support the ecosystem at that place. So therefore, this should facilitate collection even in the remote areas.
It is not just the infrastructure. There is no way to enforce these rules currently.
Initial years when in 2020 the EPR policy was introduced, at that time when there were PROs and when there were other players in this whole ecosystem, even the MLPs and the problematic plastics were getting picked up because there was an economic incentive to collect this waste. Whereas now, because there's no traceability, the current policy is not very traceable, and hence we see a lot of misuse in terms of fake certificates, etc., which you must have, read that CPCB did fine various recyclers for issuing fake certificates. But when there is no traceability, these kind of problems are bound to arise.
Yeah.
So traceability, I feel, is the biggest flaw here.
The timeline for companies to adopt recycled packaging is not very strict. For food-related plastic packaging, any shortfall in recycled plastic use in 2025 to 26 can be carried forward for up to 3 years on top of future targets. And there are no clear penalties for not enforcing these rules. So, will this amendment truly make a difference? The real test will be whether companies take responsibility beyond complaints and whether the government ensures these rules don't just stay on paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we do need a lot of technological push as well, even economic push, I believe, because if you see, I'll give you an example of PET. For example, you would not see a lot of PET in landfills. Why? Because there is a value chain associated with it. Even without EPR, there is a value chain, there is a value to collecting that PET bottles. Maybe an informal waste worker would be able to pick it up and sell it and be able to earn a living. But similar kind of a value chain does not exist for flexible and multi-layered plastics. And hence, EPR should target these problematic plastics and be able to add value incentivization to this so that these are picked up, they reach the right recycling facilities, and even the recyclers are able to make those technological changes to be able to recycle these plastics better.